What is going on, YouTube? It is Sunday, May 21st. Thank you for clicking on another one of my videos, and please bear with me. As you can probably hear, I'm a little sick right now, so please excuse my voice. But today's topic is going off of my last video a little bit. My last video I talked about the fact that I had relapsed and how much that sucked and what I was going through. And I realized that I probably need to touch a little bit more on what binge eating actually is, and I also said I wanted to document my recovery and talk about steps to overcoming binge eating disorder. And so that's what this video is going to be about. Hopefully it'll be short. I know I said that my last video was going to be short and it wasn't, but hopefully this one will be short. So the first thing that you need to do for steps to recovery is, one, even realize if you are a binge eater. There's a difference between having binge eating disorder and just being an overeater. For me, the best way that I can describe the difference is when you overeat and you kind of feel guilty about it, but it's not obsessive. With a binge eating disorder, you lose all control. It is uncontrollable, and it's an actual disorder. In your head, it's this reoccurring thing. But anyway, there's an actual scientific definition for it, which says the criteria include frequent overeating at least once a week for 3 months, combined with lack of control, marked feelings of distress, and are associated with 3 or more of the following. 1, eating more rapidly than normal. 2, eating until feeling uncomfortably full. 3, eating large amounts of food when not feeling physically hungry. 4, eating alone because feelings of embarrassment for how much one is eating. And 5, feeling disgusted with oneself, depressed, or very guilty afterward. So, like I said, I overeat on occasion, your typical Thanksgiving dinner. You overeat and you feel abnormally full, but that is not the same thing as binge eating disorder. An example that I can give is along with the Thanksgiving dinners, if you go out to eat with some friends or family, or you go out on a date night and you eat a little bit more than you probably should, and you just feel extremely full afterwards, that's overeating. That's not binge eating. Okay, so after you've decided if you're an actual binge eater or if you just are an overeater occasionally, then you want to figure out what your triggers are. And for me, that was a step that I took that I really think is important when you're trying to recover from binge eating disorder, is figuring out what your actual triggers are. And so it was really hard for me. I had to sit down and really think about what the things were, especially this last relapse, what the things were, the feelings I had, the feelings and emotions, the foods that I was drawn to, and the places that I was at. That's the first things that I looked at. And one of the first things that I found was obviously sweets. I definitely go for sweets when I'm in a binge, and particularly certain cookies. It doesn't really matter what kind, just if there's a cookie laying around when I'm in the middle of a binge, that is a trigger for me. Also, small snack foods, for example, granola or a snack mix, a trail mix of some kind. That's another trigger for me. Just small, little grabby things like that. That's really huge for me. Also, certain cereals, particularly the sugary kind of cereals. And I'm not saying that everybody's triggers are related to sugar. Some people, they binge on salty things, or they eat 5 hamburgers, or I used to binge and eat 4 plates of spaghetti, literally 4 plates of spaghetti. So it doesn't matter. That's just what my most recent triggers were. Another thing you want to look at is situations that trigger you. For me, it's situations like having an untracked meal. I don't mean all untracked meals. I mean if I have an untracked meal planned later in the day, and throughout the day before that untracked meal, if I try to stay on track, and if there's something that happens that I get off track and I just eat a little bit more than I should have, or I don't hit my macros like I wanted to leading up to that untracked meal, then my brain's just like, well, you done it, like you screwed yourself over, so might as well just eat everything now. The next one is like places that trigger your binge eating. And for me, my most recent relapse was my parents' house. For some reason, it was just like, it was nighttime. I think it was like the setting. It was nighttime. I just drove a really long way there. I had food on the way there, but see, it's still hard for me to like figure out what my triggers are. So I'm learning. I'm in the process too. But I know a trigger for me, my last relapse, was my parents' house. A huge determiner on if you are a binge eater or not is you have to look at, are you eating crazy amounts of food alone, or are you doing it in like a big setting of people where everybody's just, like indulging and whatever. Like binge eaters normally binge in private because they have feelings of guilt for how much food they're eating, and for me that's particularly what I did. Next, you want to determine if you want to continue to buy those food triggers. If you want to continue to, like for me, I had to determine if I wanted to keep buying those little snack foods, or that cereal, or the food triggers that I have. I needed to consider if I wanted to continue buying them and having them around the house in case I do have another binge eating episode. And that can be something that's really difficult if you have family, or like me, I have a husband who loves those things. So for me, it's like I'm not gonna not buy those things, but I made Craig aware that like those things are triggers for me, and it's really helpful also to have somebody know that you do struggle with this. Like you have to, like I've said before, like you're not alone, so make sure that people know what you're going through and that you're trying to recover from this, because if they don't, then they can't help you. So like publicize it, verbally say it to your loved ones, and you know what, they're the people who love you the most. Like yes, they might be disappointed a little bit or whatever, but like they will help you through it. Next, you want to identify your emotions related to your triggers. For me, that's stress, anxiety, and fear. And you really want to be in tune with them at all times. And this is not just when you're going through a binge or you feel like you might be coming on to a binge. Like this is all the time. This really helps with just like being in tune with yourself and having a better relationship with yourself. Like be in tune with your emotions. Realize, connect what that emotion is with the situation or the person or whatever it is, and like really let yourself feel them. Next, you really want to identify the line between having just one snack and it becoming an all-out binge. This is something that I struggle with all the time. Like I love snacking. I love little snack foods. So something that I had to identify is, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have this one snack, and then I have that one snack, and my mind's like, okay, you can have a little bit more. So I go and have a little bit more, and then it just keeps replaying, and then that's when it becomes a binge, when I just keep letting myself have more and more, and talking myself into having more. If you start to tell yourself it's okay to keep eating, like if you start to like reason with yourself, then that could be a indicator that it's turning into a binge. And it is definitely okay to go back and have more snacks and have a little bit more of something, but recognize the line that needs to be drawn between just having a little bit more and it turning into a binge. I think this is the most important part of recovery, is letting yourself eat the foods that you're craving. And that does not include these low carb crash diets where you eat chicken and vegetables, like I've said before. Like those diets, I can't like say this positively, but I can bet a lot of people who have that type of diet have some type of eating disorder related to binge eating or overeating or whatever, because of that reason. They don't eat the food that they like. Realize that food, like let's say you have a day and you want pancakes, but you also want ice cream, and you're trying to make sure that you are going to hit your macros for that day. Well, realize that food is going to be there tomorrow. So make the choice to today have those pancakes, and then tomorrow have that ice cream. Like that's the beauty of flexible dieting. That's the beauty of counting macros and And even just for me right now, like intuitively eating, that's the beauty of it. Like it's gonna be there. We live in a world and society where we are so blessed to have copious amounts of food. Like it's gonna be there. So that's really important to understand. A really, really good piece of advice that my best friend Courtney gave me is to get out the food that I want. Like if I'm about to make a meal, get out the food that I want, have the portions that I want, and then put everything else away. Like don't leave it out, because that gives me like the trigger of like, okay, it's still there. Like, is this all that I want? Like, no, get what you want at that moment and then put it away, and then it won't be on your mind, and you won't be getting more than you actually need. Another thing you can do is make sure that you have something that you enjoy at every meal. And whether that be, like for me, I really, really, really love strawberries. Like I eat strawberries, probably like 8 ounces of strawberries a day, because I just love them and they're so versatile. For me, I don't have strawberries with every meal, but I make sure to incorporate strawberries into my day because I know that I love them and they're not a trigger for me. So if I want to snack on something, instead of going to something that would normally trigger me, I'm going to snack on strawberries. Or another example is cottage cheese. Craig and I go through a container of cottage cheese, actually 4 containers of cottage cheese in a week. So much we love cottage cheese. So that's another thing that's not a trigger for me, but it is a snack that I love and that I am okay with. So I make sure to incorporate that in my day. Something that I think in the past that I would do is I like tried to eat as healthy as possible. And so I would, instead of choosing like, for me, pancakes. I love pancakes. Instead of having pancakes, I'd have like this giant salad, and then that giant salad wouldn't satisfy me. So I'd be obsessing over those pancakes, so then I'd go make those pancakes. And instead of doing that, I could have just had those pancakes and made them fit my macros, or made it work to where I didn't overeat on them or anything, but that I incorporated them so that I was satisfied with what I was eating. And the last thing that I can give you guys advice to do if you're going through recovery or if you're trying to overcome binge eating is have a plan, have a routine. This can work for some people and it can't work for some people. It's just excuse me, it's just about finding what works for you. I know that some people having a routine, a time that they eat every single day, eating at the same times every day, like that works for them because they are people who do well with scheduling and organization. And then for some people, having that structure can also lead to binge eating. So it's honestly all about what works for you. For me, some days I plan ahead, some days I don't. Like today, I didn't plan ahead, and I honestly haven't planned ahead because I'm not tracking macros right now. Just eating intuitively. I'm doing actually really well, and I have a lot better mindset. Like I'm probably eating more than I should, but like I'm okay with my body right now. I'm okay with my mindset right now. And like tonight, Craig and I are going on a date, and we're gonna go to TGI Fridays, and I'm gonna get a turkey burger and sweet potato fries, and then we're gonna go get froyo. And I'm not gonna binge. I'm not gonna do that because this exact scenario would be something that would trigger a binge for me. But I'm not going to do it tonight because I am on like day 7 or something like that of recovery. And I vowed to myself that it's not going to happen again. I am in control of my body. I am in control of the situation, the amount of food that I put in my body. Like, I'm fine. I'm an overcomer. You are an overcomer. And I really hope that these tips helped you guys. If they did, please leave a comment below or DM me. Like the video. Can't stress how important that is to me for you to like the video, because that shows me that this really did resonate with you and it really did help you. And it's really important for me not to only help myself in this recovery, but I know you guys have reached out to me telling me that you are going through the same thing and you didn't even realize binge eating was a thing. So it really helps me out, guys. So subscribe to the channel, like, and please comment what else you want to see. If you have any questions for me, please ask. You know I will always answer. So I really hope you guys like this video. Thank you so much again for clicking on it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Have an awesome freaking week. Love you.
Go ahead and live like you're loved. It's okay to act like you've been set free.